What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Omar Martin here with Tom Beal. And this is another video about the Commission Expo, which is happening the 19th through the 21st in Orlando, Florida.
Right now, this month, already. April, can you believe it? This is coming up in a couple weeks, less than a couple weeks. This is exciting.
Right, from the time that we recorded this, it's right there. It's time flies, right? So we've been interviewing the speakers, and on this video here, we're interviewing each other because we're both speakers. So this should be kind of fun. I'm really excited to have Tom there, not just as the MC and the master of ceremonies for it, but also to share his story from stage and to do his presentation. Because actually, I'm not sure, Tom, are you going to do the same talk that you've done in the past at our last event?
No, there's actually some big differences that have been upgraded since you and I had the last event, which rocked the house and people loved it, and there was massive transformation. But since then, I've conducted numerous events that people invested, well, 2 times invested 25,000 euro, and there were 12 people to learn from me and one other trainer. And at that event, I trained on this one topic, and the one topic, when we were done with this, we said, if this was all you learned this week, would it have been worth 25,000 euro, which at the time was worth 32,000 US dollars roughly. Every hand went up, said all 12 of them said this, if all we learned was this, it would have been worth that amount of money.
Wow.
So I'm going to be sharing that with everybody at Commission Expo. And this goes beyond just commissions, because I'm a big believer that as within, so without, right? When you get what's going on between your 2 ears here squared away, you can have great results that go to tremendous results. You can have mediocre results, which go to kick butt results. That's what we're going to dial in. We're going to dial in what it takes to answer the 4 questions that this event, the 25,000 euro event, is going to be shared with you to dial in what's going on between your ears to help produce your commissions that might have been beyond what you even believed was possible. So this alone, and this is just going to be, like you said, master of ceremonies. I'm there to introduce the speakers, be a buffer in between, and share some knowledge. But one of the presentations I have is that 25,000 euro presentation, and I'm excited to share it with you, Omar, share it with all the different speakers that are going to be there, and most importantly, all the attendees that are going to be there. Because everybody who's heard this, it like makes the dots connect and takes everybody's results to the next level. So I'm super pumped to share this at this Commission Expo.
Tom, I'm getting excited. You gave me goosebumps just now because I've heard your other presentation, and I personally, and you know what, maybe I should have started with this. For those of you guys that don't know Tom or don't know how I know Tom, I'm gonna share this with you. I'm not gonna give you Tom's story of how we met because he's got a totally different version of that, but I will tell you this. You'll notice that on the sales page for the Commission Expo, for Tom's his description, it says advisor to the gurus, right? And here's the thing with Tom Beal. When I met Tom Beal, he was partners with Mike Filsaime, running a multiple 7-figure company. And since then, Tom has gone on to advise some of the most influential people not just in the marketing space, but in the digital space, to be honest with you. And I personally have been coached and mentored by Tom. My Miss Melinda and I have been very blessed and very fortunate to become good friends with Tom and Wanda. And we are, constantly learning from Tom. He's literally been our coach, where we do coaching calls with Tom, and he has guided me through some very important decisions in my business that have resulted in tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and dare I say, even 7 figures. So this is a guy that I highly respect his advice, and he is not just emceeing the show, but he's giving this presentation now that I literally just learned about this, right? People will say, yeah, bull crap, you knew. But I literally just learned that he was doing this special presentation. Now, I know that you speak at events, you fly all over the world, because every time I talk to you on Voxer, you're like, hey, I'm over here, or hey, I'm over there. And I know that people pay top dollar to listen to these presentations that you do, but I didn't know you were going to do one of those at the Commission Expo.
Correct. Yeah. Well, I feel it's totally important to connect all those dots, get this all squared away, make sure you know what is the best use of your time, how to get your business and your results, your profits to that level you know you're capable of. And all the speakers that you've interviewed, Omar, that I've interviewed, are going to deliver the goods. Like, this is going to be the real deal, showing you each of those strategies. And one thing that you don't want to do after leaving here is saying, I'm going to do it all. Because that attitude, I've been there. I've been like, okay, I'm going to implement everything. And what happens is nothing gets implemented. So we're going to ensure you're clear when you leave there exactly what the steps that you need to take to begin improving your results, your commissions at dramatic levels. So Omar's going to bring it. All the speakers are going to bring it, and it's going to be fantastic. So let's flip this around, Omar. So here you are, put on the event that you said was going to be the last event. Hey, after it was done, all the high fives, all the attendees were raving about how awesome it was. And you're like, you know what? I'm hanging those shoes up. No more events.
Right.
And here we are, bringing it back, Commission Expo. And the amount of speakers that you brought in that are the top level, helping everyone bring their commissions to the next level. Let me ask you, Omar, what is it that you are going to be sharing with each of the attendees, and how is it going to help them grow their commissions and take their results to that next level?
You know, Melinda and I, it's so true what you said. Anybody that was at our last event, it was such a special and memorable thing in my life, right? So many people turned out, and it was just awesome. But I was a nervous wreck, right? Going into it, if you remember, I was a nervous wreck because I'd never done an event before. And I said to myself, man, I'm never going to do an event again, you know, because there's so many moving parts to doing an event. It's different than doing a product launch or doing a promotion online. But here we are, ready to do another event, right? And this time it's the Commission Expo. And Melinda and I, we're talking about this last year, and we're like, no, we've learned so much about, you know, we've changed our lives so much. I've been very blessed, and we're very fortunate to now have the home of our dreams. We've literally been able to remove the factor of money from the equation of our lives because of some things that we learned and that we implemented. And we were able to design systems that create that revenue for us, that recurring, reliable revenue in the form of commissions over and over and over again, which provides this life that we live in. And you know, if you would have asked me 10 years ago, you know, Omar, like, where do you see yourself? Like, this would not have been like what I would have described. We've been able to achieve some amazing things. And Melinda and I both agreed, like, you know, we've got to teach this, not just teach this, but we've got to bring together people that have accomplished even more than this using tactics to bring in commissions steadily. And what I'm going to be sharing is just that. I'm actually going to break my talk up into each of the days. I'm going to talk a little bit on each of the days, but I'm going to cover specifically how to create viral bonus loops and create commission strategies that re-inject your prospects into the funnels to create more money, more often, reliably and consistently. Because I'll tell you what, man, in the beginning when I first started and I was just learning how to make a little bit of money online, it was inconsistent, man. Yeah, you know, and come on, you can't run your life that way. You know, it's especially we're all adults. Feast or famine, right?
Right. Yeah. Go have the parties and then be like, oh crap, what's the next offer? Right.
Exactly. And you know what? We're adults here. We got responsibilities. We have families. We can't live our lives like that. And it's different there's a big difference between just making money online and then having an online business that makes you money. There's a big difference. And some people, they do this internet marketing thing and they make a little bit of money, but they're just a flash in the pan. And a few years later, you're like, hey, whatever happened to that guy? There's not too many that last the test of time. And 10 years later, you see them and they're still living in that beautiful house and they're still teaching and they're still making. So that's what Melinda and I want to share. And I've condensed it into some very, very specific things that have actionable steps that anyone can take right now, regardless of whether they just started or they've already been making money online, and literally turning into a commission-producing automated machine, basically. And that's my goal, I want everybody that walks out to say, oh my God, just with what Omar taught me, my life is different now. I feel so confident that I can make consistent recurring commissions. That's my goal, Tom. I want to make sure that everybody that goes away from the Commission Expo has that.
Right. And I flash back 10 plus years to when our paths crossed, when I busted in and surprised you in that hotel room.
You couldn't help yourself.
I knew your dreams were not at the level of the life that you're currently living then, right? You've exceeded what you thought was possible for you and Melinda, and the blessings that you've been able to spread to so many other people. And I remember that 12 years ago when that awesome incident occurred that we'll be talking about at the event in more detail. I knew what your goals were. And I remember, you'd have a nice promo and then, that up and down roller coaster road. But then I've seen you and Melinda put these systems in place, build that proper team, provide the value in a manner specifically that you can share with others how to replicate and duplicate. And the great part about watching you and Melinda is you fulfilled one of my favorite quotes from Zig Ziglar, who I met many years ago prior to him passing. He said, "You can have everything in life you want if you help enough others get what they want." And that's what I see between you, Melinda. The results that you personally have are based upon you having such a big heart and helping so many others overcome the obstacles, overcome the challenges, overcome the person looking back at you in the mirror, trying to sabotage that and making it simpler, showing you there's an easy way. You've been through the difficult path. You found the simple way to produce recurring, consistent revenue versus that roller coaster ride. So I know this to be true, and I've seen behind the scenes at a level very few do. And what really inspires me to see what you and Melinda do is the heart that comes behind it. You truly care about each and every one of the people there. And sometimes to a point where maybe you give up a little more of personal space that you probably should have.
Yeah.
And you stay up later and you have those conversations till the wee hours of the morning because you care and you want to help them through those difficulties. So that leads into the other benefit. Yes, you're going to rock the house. You're going to deliver those strategies to help them get that consistent recurring revenue. But beyond that, you, myself, all the other speakers are going to be there live, breaking bread, eating and drinking, having the good times during the event and after the event. How has live events impacted and affected your personal life over the years, since I busted in on you in that hotel room?
Oh God, you keep going there. Oh, so, and we'll tell the story, I guess now you'll have to hear both sides of this story, I guess. But anyway, this is such a, when we decided we were going to start interviewing the speakers and I wanted to create a few questions that were really going to be impactful to the viewers, this was one that I said, man, what has, I put myself in those shoes, and I have to say there is very, very little that has affected my business and my personal development in order to be able to build my business. Because to be honest with you, there's a lot of formulas out there. There's a lot of different types of businesses, and the common denominator is you. Right? Regardless of what you pick, it's you are the one that's involved in all of those things, of all of those options. And what I learned, which I was stubborn and I had to get out of my own way. It took me 18 months to get out of my own way. How long it takes you is up to you. But what I learned at the end of the day was that 90% of my success was because of things that I had to fix within me, like you said, between here and here. The other 10% were a result of the tools, the tactics, the choices that I made as far as, but like, and I ask this question all the time. Our last product launch, I think we did close to $500,000, right? We did it on WordPress. Do you think my results would have been much different if I had used, I don't know, ClickFunnels or HTML or whatever? The tool, yeah, it plays a role, but 90% of that success is a result of me, right? Did I get up every morning? Did I follow through on the idea? Did I do the work? Did I go down the task list? Did I actually put in the belief system and actually carry out the things that I had to do to make that happen? And where I learned those things, they weren't in an ebook. They weren't in any piece of software. They were in the relationships and in the conversations that I developed with people that I met at live events. People like yourself. People like Mike Filsaime, people like Marshall Silver, people who have actually been able to influence my psyche, my way of thinking, my approach at building a business. Because exactly what you mentioned a minute ago, it's like, okay, all the speakers with the tactics and the goods, they're going to be there. They're going to be delivering that from stage. All right. Now, you have a choice. One of those options in that choice is to be overwhelmed and to do nothing. Another one is to have laser focus and say that guy right there, I'm hooking up with that guy, I'm doing that thing, I am, and I think that was what I was missing. I was missing that thing. So I believe it was the year 2008. I took every penny that I was making. We were just starting out. So this is that feast or famine time where things are very unstable. And I took just about every single penny that we made with our business, and I put it into event tickets and airfare and hotel. And I probably went to about 15 or 16 events that year. Obviously, we've had to take it back down a little bit since then. We go to 3 or 4 events a year now. But that year of travel and of investing in myself and my development and my relationship, that was probably the most beneficial thing that I could have done for my business. It contributed to the 90%, not the 10%, not the WordPress or Optimized Press or what tool or what software or what video, camera. Yeah, that stuff is important. You got to learn those things too. I'm not saying that it doesn't matter at all, but what I'm saying is that at the events, you're going to be exposed to the 90%, to the relationships, the influential people, the things that can truly make a difference on whether or not the 10% has any effect on your income. Yep. And that's the best that I can answer that question.
And well, what you just shared reminded me of my journey as well. And not only did I take the earnings that I was reaping from my results, which when I was just getting started weren't that much, I had to take chances on attending live events that I wasn't even certain would work, right? To the point where I had to invest in the plane ticket. And sometimes I actually went to an event in the early stages without even having a hotel room. And just going there and hanging out in the lobby and be like, hey, who has an extra spot in their room that we can split? I mean, I stepped out the ledge and knew, and had people tell me, are you sure you want to go to that event? I'm like, I know that at this event, I'm going to either learn something or meet someone that is going to change the trajectory of my life.
That's how I met you. That's how you broke into my hotel room and you.
And I witnessed what I witnessed. You can't unsee it. You can't unsee it. Kind of like the Mankini, right? You can't, once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Hey, wait, stop right there. That was the #1 question that people have been telling me to ask you. Will we have a Mankini incident or exposure?
Hey, I can't make any promises either way. So that's going to be for those who are at the event. They'll know the answer, but those who aren't there won't know the answer.
Oh, boy.
This all boils back to, do you need to be there? And if you're watching this video, you may feel like I felt a long time ago when I heard Tony Robbins, on the audio tapes, Personal Power, and man, one day I hope to meet Tony. Well, I went to Fiji and met Tony, and I went to several of his events and got backstage and met him. I want you to meet the people. I want you to meet me. I want you to meet Omar. I want you to meet all the speakers there, because I know for a fact, just like I knew back then, all those years ago, I'm going to learn some strategies that when implemented are going to change my trajectory. I'm going to meet somebody that when the conversation ensues, they're going to be like, oh, you're overcomplicating this. Why don't you just do it this way? Which has happened to me, which I know has happened to you, Omar, and I know has happened to every one of the speakers there, where it's like, wait a minute. You're trying to get here? Why are you complicating it? Just do this. And it's like, poof, you couldn't see it, but the person who's already been down that path shows you, don't overcomplicate it, just do this. And that one thing changes everything. I know this event, it has the people there, has the strategies that are going to be shared that can and will change your trajectory. Do what you must to be there. When you're there, shake Omar's hand, shake my hand. Let us know the answer to these 5 words. How can I help you? How can I help you? We're not there to waste time. We're there because we care. We're there because I made a decision years ago. If I made it, when I made it, I wanted to give back. I wanted to help those that were on that journey learn from not having to go down the mistakes, not having to go down those dead-end roads that I went down. Hey, whoa, don't go that path. Here, go this way. Stop all that pain and suffering. That's why I'm there. That's why Omar's there. That's why every one of the speakers is there. Omar specifically chose them because they all carry that same commitment to answering the question, how can I help you? And when you're there, break bread. Come up and here's a little hint. If one of the speakers is one of your heroes, which Omar and I, many of the speakers there were our heroes years ago and still are great friends, give them a compliment, like a real sincere compliment. Hey, I saw this, you said this, or you showed me this, and I implemented it, and voila, the results were incredible. Give a sincere compliment and say, hey, by the way, what are you drinking? What can I get you? And whether it's a water or whether it's an alcoholic beverage, break some bread, and
that
have
is great advice. That is definitely good advice.
Right. So just go there knowing that they're all there. Myself, Omar, all the speakers are there because we're committed to helping you get from where you are to where you want to be. Live events change my life, change Omar's life, and I know it will change your life. This event, do what you must to get there and watch how it too, just like the live events have been a trajectory modifier for me, Omar, and all the other speakers there, it will be one for you as well.
Tom, that is great advice for people that are coming to the event. I'm going to share a tip that I started implementing when I spent that year going to so many events, and this is something that might help people. Well, I know if you do it, it will help you. Whether or not you're dedicated enough to, it's up to you. Now, what I did was I shook as many hands as I possibly could. And this took a little bit of coming out of my shell because, believe it or not, I wasn't always the outspoken, controversial social media guy that I am now. Back then, it was like, I was coming from a career in EMS. I was a little shy, and I was like, so what I did is I made it a point to meet as many people as I possibly could, simply shook their hand, said, hi, my name is Omar, and I'm just starting in internet marketing. What do you do? And I started as many possible conversations as I could. And then before I walked away, I asked each of them for a business card. I would come away with stacks of business cards from each of these events. Now, some people will say, don't collect business cards, don't hand them out. Here's what I did with them. When I got back from the event, I took all of those names, addresses, postal addresses, and email, and I put them on a spreadsheet. And you know what? After a couple of years, I had over 1,000 people on that spreadsheet. And whenever I was doing any kind of a promotion, I would literally print up a letter or a postcard, and I would just mail it, postal mail, to every single person on there. That's one thing that helped me. It helped me stand out because before you know it, people start posting pictures online like, hey, just got a postcard from Omar Martin. He's got a promotion coming up or something like that. And I was like, wow, free publicity. And this is just because I had those mailing addresses and because I had made those contacts. So that's just one little tip that has worked for me. Did you do any what kind of tip would you give to somebody going for the first time to this event?
Absolutely. Well, one, do exactly what Omar said as far as shake the hands and get the information, etc. But two, bust out the cell phone and do a selfie.
Oh,
and
yes.
Capture those selfies and post those selfies, and then take it a step further. Similar to what you did, Omar, except I didn't send physical mailings. What I did is I got their information. I recorded a video. Hey, it's Tom Beal. It was great to meet you at such and such event, at Commission Expo down in Orlando. We didn't get that much time to chat, which, it was busy and all this, but I'd love to set up a chat, a no expectation call to see what you're up to, where you're going this year, and how I might be able to help you. And, hey, great. I might be able to, might not, but let's set up that chat. I'd love to hear where you are, where you're going, and how I might be able to assist in that journey. Look forward to chatting with you.
That's awesome. What's important to take note of is the way you just worded that, right? It's a no expectation call, and I want to see how I can help you, right? Mike Filsaime, we did an interview with him recently, and one of the things he mentioned was he made a reference to Finding Nemo and the bird saying mine, mine, mine. He's like, don't be all about me at the event. Provide value first. Be a person of value. Be somebody that's looking to be helpful and generous. And when you're that type of person, you're going to attract all sorts of people that can actually help you. But just because you're coming with that vibe, with that aura, with that willingness to help and genuinely make a connection, make a friendship, you will put yourself in awesome situations to create deals and to just build really lifelong friendships with people that can influence your career moving forward.
Yep, those 5 words. Go in there with that belief of being an attendee. How can I help you? Everyone you meet, how can I help you? And when you do that, it's that law of reciprocation. Like, you're not doing it to expect anything back, but hey, oh wow, cool. I need to introduce you to this person I just met over here. Hey, Sam, meet John, or Sally, meet Susan. Those connections, those small things make a big difference, and that builds that relationship. My number one asset are my relationships, which came from attending all those live events. And this is whether it's your first, whether it's your 50th or more, this is going to bring the right people that you need to meet at this time. And some of those people are going to be some of the speakers. But guess what? Some of the people you meet may not even be on the stage, but they're up and coming. The first person I met, I had the attitude of how can I help you? I saw them wandering around with that, where's a plug for their laptop plug? Right?
That's right.
And I looked at my plug and I looked over, and this is back in March of 2005. And I didn't have an extra plug, but I asked the guy, hey, you looking for a plug? He's like, yeah, do you have one? I said, no, but my battery's pretty full. We can share this plug. Okay, cool. This is in Austin, Texas, or no, I'm sorry, San Antonio, Texas. Person sat down next to me. We had some fun. We chatted. Then we went to the Riverwalk. We went to the Alamo. That person who wasn't on stage, I wasn't on stage at that particular event either, was Mike Filsaime. We became friends for the rest of that year, and then we teamed up the following year. So it may not be just all the speakers. There might be someone in the crowd who's an up-and-comer, yourself included. You get to meet the people who are there who are all up-and-comers, and you never know which ones are gonna skyrocket to the level that at the time they may not have ever expected. So go there with the how can I help you attitude. How can I help you? And watch how you just put that energy out and watch how it attracts the right people and connections for you.
That is excellent advice. So with that, guys, look, the event is taking place the 19th through the 21st, Orlando, Florida, at the Florida Hotel. Now, I want to mention this. You're going to want to do two things. Make sure you travel in on the 18th because registration is on the 18th, and we actually have a presentation that night, which is like before the event starts kind of presentation that you want to be at. We also have open bar during registration, so that's awesome. So make sure you make the 18th your travel day into Orlando, Florida. The Florida Hotel is awesome. It is attached to a mall. Everything you need is there. This is like a 4.5-star hotel. Don't quote me. I don't know the exact rating, but it's a beautiful place, and you're gonna love it. Now, what I'm gonna mention, the second thing I want to mention is make sure you get your room right now. We've heard from the hotel that there are various events happening that weekend in the hotel. So when you get your room, make sure you mention our room block, because once our room block fills, they're not going to have any other rooms available. So make sure that you go and you grab your room right now through the link on the. Oh, who do we got there?
And bring your family, bring your youngsters, bring your teenagers, because they can learn this information and at the young age implement. And before they even get out of high school, before they even get out of college, can have some amazing things going. This is my son Harley. He has school. He's not going to be able to make it due to school, keeping him here in New York, but upcoming events when he's off of school, he'll be learning from, he'll be watching some videos. He's always asking questions. He's been at Omar's house. We had fun at Omar's house last July. Whoops. And so bring your family. Have them participate, have them learn. And if they can't make it live, transfer this information to them, because that can lead to a path of amazingness for them as well.
That's awesome. So guys, thank you so much for being on this with us. Tom, Harley, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much, Tom, for being part of the Commission Expo. And for you guys watching, take this advice to heart. Make sure you grab your ticket, get your room right now. Come hang out with us. It's going to be a life-changing event. We look forward to seeing you in Orlando, Florida on April 19th. Take care, guys.
See you there.